but more recently I've heard that fermented foods are the best thing for gut health.
Yeah,
Um, what's what's the relationship with fermented foods and yeast?
that's a great question. So fermented foods have lactobacillus growing in them, and lactobacillus is acidic, or it makes a lactic acid, which is acidic. So the more you have in your gut, the more acidic your gut will be, which is tends to be a good thing. And it's your gut. So if you're a microbe, you like to live in a certain oxygen level and a certain pH level. And so it has to be just right for you to live there. If it's not just right, you're not going to live there. So pH actually determines what grows and what doesn't grow. So the more of this lactobacillus you eat, the more you're going to have an acidic environment around that bacteria. And that's going to promote the growth of certain healthy bacteria that you need for your body. So, yeah, I would definitely say lactobacillus is a fantastic thing to eat. And if you don't mind, can I make a connection with birth here? So,
Yeah,
okay, so the cool thing about lactobacillus, this healthy bacteria, is they found that pregnant women in their last trimester will become enriched in the birth canal for lactobacillus. And so, as if the baby is born naturally and comes down through the birth canal, it will get all of this wonderful lactobacillus in its mouth, in its nose, and that will all go down and it will seed the gut. So the very first microbes that go into that baby's gut during the birth of that baby are lactobacillus. And then if you breastfeed your child, that milk, the sugars in the milk, are specifically designed to feed the lactobacillus. So if you're doing the birthing process the way that humans were made to be, it should all line up. It should all, the gut sets up correctly. It has lactobacillus. The milk nourishes the lactobacillus that grows. Now that baby is given this treasure for its lifetime on the very first day of its life. But sometimes the way that we do things interrupts that process. And so a baby that's born by C section typically gets seeded with skin bacteria. That's the first bacteria that goes into their gut, not lactobacillus. And then if you don't nurse your baby and instead you feed it formula, that baby's now not getting the sugars and the so many other things in the mother's milk that is specifically designed to start them in a healthy way. So I think we really need to take a step back and look at how the birthing process in a modern society occurs. And I understand different mothers have different situations for sure. And this is not judgmental in any way. Because I definitely have friends and family members that have birthed their babies C-section, and it wasn't like a choice. They had to do it.
mm,
So I get that. But I think we really need to consider the method of birth. If it's not like an emergency, maybe the mom should be educated better and saying this is really why we do it this way. I think that antibiotics during the birthing process should be looked at. For example, certain mothers, well, before you give birth, sometimes if they find a certain streptococcus bacteria in the mother's birth canal, they will give her antibiotics for the last week or two right before she gives birth to eliminate that streptococcus. And there's a reason for it, but I think we have to look at the big picture and say, well, wait, why are we doing that for everybody? Like maybe
mm.
that should not be an across the board practice kind of thing. So I definitely think it's important to look at the birthing process and keep that as close to nature as we can.
Yeah, yeah, because evolution provided us that,
Right.
and and it's not making any mistakes by doing so. It's provided us with what it needs to do.
And they really say that the first 1,000 days of life, it's this window of time that you have to establish your gut. It's basically 3 years. So when that baby turns 3 years old, that's when it's kind of sealed and done. Any changes you wanted to make in that gut, you kind of ran out of time by age 3.
I look at the ingredient list of formula, and there's like 90 ingredients. It looks like it's
Mm,
like
hmm
it seems nefarious to me.